Hello, and once again, thank you for tuning into the Women's Health Span podcast. I have now been recording podcasts for like 2.5 hours straight, so if I start stumbling over my words, you know why. Today's topic is blood sugar, hormones, and why your body feels different now. At some point, a lot of women, probably all women, are going to hit this phase where they look at what they're doing and they look at the results and they're like, this does not add up. Something is wrong because you're eating well, you're working out, you're doing a pretty good job sleeping, and your body is not responding the way it used to. Okay, I've been here many times. You feel your energy dip, your mood is less stable, your weight is harder to manage, and the thought starts creeping in, what am I doing wrong? Right? We always blame ourselves. Right? That is what we've been socialized to do. If something goes wrong, it must be our fault. We've done something wrong and we need to fix ourselves. But the real answer is that you're probably not doing anything wrong. You're just in a different physiological environment than you were 10 years ago. I can't believe I have to say that. But I do. We need to know that, right? You are just in a different physiological environment. And when I say that, I'm just talking about your body. Your body is different than it was 10 years ago. During perimenopause, our hormones shift. Estrogen starts to decline, progesterone fluctuates, and those affect everything. Okay? And one of the things that they affect is our blood sugar. And blood sugar is very often overlooked when it comes to this entire conversation about perimenopause and about how to stay healthy. And when it is addressed, it's usually addressed just in bits and pieces or just completely incorrect. So I just did a couple other podcasts about like eating and about muscle mass and fasting. Like those are the things that are really showing up in social media, and they're like, oh, this is so good for your blood sugar. It's not good for your blood sugar. You still have dysregulation if you're doing those things. So let's talk a little bit more about blood sugar because it does touch everything. It touches our energy, it touches our mood, our cravings, our weight, our ability to focus. When our blood sugar is not stable, we are going to feel it. And we might not be able to identify that what we're going through is actually related to the blood sugar. A lot of times we're just like, oh, it's my hormones. I'm like, yeah, it can be. And yes, hormones are responsible for blood sugar regulation. But also, like, blood sugar can be influenced by diet, and it can be influenced by exercise, and it can be influenced by muscle mass. So there's a lot more to it. So if you layer on top of all of that, the reality that most women have spent decades dieting, right, and under eating and skipping meals and doing excessive cardio and trying to control their body through restriction, it gets worse because dieting messes up our hormones, it messes up our blood sugar, okay, because our body keeps track of that. Like when you diet, it is not without its consequences, and the only consequence is certainly not just the temporary weight loss. Okay, there are some really severe consequences for doing that to your body, and especially doing it repeatedly. So now we have perimenopause and all of the hormonal changes that go with that, and we pair that with a history of restriction, dieting and restriction, and we have a system that is under an intense amount of stress and that is very, very confused. And that leads to what we experience as perimenopausal women and postmenopausal as well. That leads to the energy crashes, that leads to the brain fog, that leads to the increased cravings and to the weight fluctuations, usually gain, that doesn't make any sense because we haven't changed anything. But we have to shift the conversation because most women, when this starts happening, respond to this by tightening control again, right? They go right back into diet mode. They begin eating less. They start fasting. They start bringing in these weird shakes. And I don't mean protein shakes. I always feel like I need to clarify that. I am for protein shakes when necessary. They're a good supplementation. But anyway, and they start blaming themselves. They're like, I need to be more disciplined. Why don't I have enough willpower? And all of that is the exact opposite of what your body actually needs right now. So let's talk about what is happening, okay? When you eat, your body breaks carbohydrates down into glucose, and then that glucose enters your bloodstream. In response to that, insulin is released to move the glucose into your cells for energy. In a well-functioning system, in a healthy body, that process is smooth. It works beautifully. Okay, and blood sugar rises moderately, and then it comes back down, and you feel stable and energetic and happy and wonderful. But when we have chronic stress, and I mean both kinds, right? I mean like the mental stress from blaming yourself that you're putting on belly fat, to the actual physical stress of perimenopause and decades of dieting. When you have those chronic stressors and you have inflammation from eating the food you were taught was healthy for you, but actually isn't, right? Because it's full of inflammatory ingredients, that system becomes less efficient. And now, all of a sudden, your blood sugar, instead of moving smoothly into your cells to give your body energy, it starts to swing. It goes up quickly and then it comes down quickly. And that is what your energy crash is. And that is what your cravings are related to. And that is where your irritability and your difficulty focusing all come from. And then you add on top perimenopause. And it just gets worse. I'm so sorry. It's true. It just gets worse because during perimenopause, our estrogen starts to decline. And estrogen helps our body respond to insulin. So when we have a decline in the estrogen, our body naturally, through no fault of our own, okay, our body naturally starts to become more insulin resistant. Okay, in a healthy perimenopausal woman, this gradual insulin resistance may never be a problem. Okay, she may be healthy enough that she doesn't become pre-diabetic, she doesn't become diabetic, but for the vast majority of women in the United States, because of the kind of diet that we eat, this increase in insulin resistance due to the declining estrogen associated with perimenopause is going to lead to prediabetes or diabetes. Okay, along with all of the nasty symptoms we've already talked about. In addition to all of that drama happening with estrogen, we need to talk about progesterone because progesterone fluctuations can increase appetite and change how your body stores fat. So that's getting all messed up too. Okay, and then we add on top of all of this that we've already talked about, inflammation. Okay, we are almost all of us inflamed because of our diets, because of our environment. It's not your fault. Please remember that. It's not your fault. But the situation is that you are likely inflamed, and that makes everything worse because inflamed cells don't respond well to insulin. Okay? Inflamed cells don't do anything well. That's why you feel yucky. So now we think about all of that stuff that we've just piled on to you. And your body is working harder than it ever has, but getting less efficient results because it's just trying to survive. It cannot possibly thrive. And then we come back to the behaviors that most women are using to try to fix this. Things like fasting, dieting, skipping meals, cutting calories, taking shakes, taking meds. And this is where we need to be very clear that there is a chance that approach worked when you were in your 20s, maybe even your 30s, but it does not work here. Because when you undereat, when I say here, I mean peri and postmenopause, because when you undereat, your body does not stabilize, it compensates. Okay, you are putting your body in fight or flight just by dieting. Cortisol is going up. You are stressing your body out, so cortisol goes up. Cortisol is going to cause you to gain weight and make it hard to lose it. Okay, and then blood sugar becomes more unstable, and that's where those energy crashes come in. And that's where your body is going to start storing fat because that's what bodies do when they are stressed, especially female bodies. Your body just starts to protect itself. That is what is happening when you choose to diet. Your body goes into a stress mode, it goes into fight or flight, and it becomes more protective. So now you're dealing with more cravings because your body is like, I'm starving, I need food, I need materials. So you're going to have increased cravings. You're going to have more fatigue because you don't have the energy your body needs to live, let alone deal with all of these stressors that we've just piled on top of you during perimenopause. And it becomes more resistant to fat loss because it thinks that you are in a famine. And it is not going to let you lose any fat because it needs it to survive. These things do not mean your body is broken. These things mean your body is working, but you haven't learned how to work with it yet. Okay, your body is responding exactly the way it was designed to respond to this exact situation. And so I know what the next question is, right? It's a question my clients always ask me next. Okay, so what do I do? If restricting my diet isn't the answer, what do I do? Because that's the only thing I've ever been taught. Fair. Very valid. Here's where it gets wild. You support your body instead of trying to control it. Your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to be healthy. You just have to support it. Now, there's enough damage for most of us that it's going to be a long road because now we have to heal all of this damage from decades of abusing our bodies, again, through no fault of our own. It's what people were telling us to do. Okay? And then we have to heal and then we have to optimize. Okay, so it's a long road. This is not a 6-week boot camp. All right, you have to eat real food consistently. You have to exercise consistently. You have to build muscle mass consistently. Okay, you do have to do cardio work consistently. I don't talk about that as much, but it is important. And I do it and I program it for my clients as well. Okay, that is how we support our body in a very real, sustainable way. And that is how we achieve true health. We eat protein, we eat carbohydrates, we eat fats, we eat micronutrients, not in extreme ways. Okay, and yes, the form is important, right? The fat that is in cake is not the same as the fat that is in steak, okay? But the point is we have to eat and we have to give our bodies enough energy to actually function. The other thing that we have to do, and I've mentioned it a couple times, is strength train, right? That muscle is important. cardio is important, but when we are talking about blood sugar, muscle is currency, okay? Muscle improves insulin sensitivity. So if you have blood sugar that is swinging, if you increase your muscle mass, it will help you regulate your blood sugar more effectively because muscle acts like a sponge. And so all of that glucose that is in your bloodstream, it has somewhere to go. The more muscle you have, the more places that glucose has to go. And that keeps your blood sugar stable. So in addition to that, what are some other things that you can do to help regulate your blood sugar and regulate your hormones? You have to support the rest of your system too, right? We've talked about food, we've talked about exercise, but sleep. You have to sleep, okay? You have to manage your stress. And please, 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 for information on stress management, see my other blogs, listen to my other podcasts, because I am not talking about breath work and journaling. Okay, those are fine and dandy, but they are not what fix the problem. They are not root cause care for stress. And then daily movement. So that's movement outside of exercise, okay? And we don't want these things to increase our stress. We don't want it to be like a checklist. We want to gradually incorporate these things into our lives in a natural way that feels good and is sustainable. When we treat our body with this kind of compassion and this kind of respect, and when we learn to flow with the natural rhythms of these beautiful and amazing machines that we have, which are our bodies, when we take care of our homes, right? That's what your body is. Your body is your home. When we take care of that, our blood sugar stabilizes, energy becomes more consistent, cravings decrease, mood improves. Like, you pick it. You pick your symptom. I promise you it will get better. And not because you have forced your body into compliance. That will never work. It improves because you have given it what it needs. So, if you have been feeling like your body is harder to manage, it is because it is, okay? But it's not random, and there are ways to start working with your perimenopausal body. There's nothing random about this. It's not a lack of discipline. It's a shift in physiology, and it is the accumulation of decades of stressors. And once you understand that and you stop fighting your body and you start understanding it and having compassion for it and working with it, then you will find true health and you will be able to live a rich life for the rest of your life. The second half of your life will be just as, if not more vibrant than the first half. I hope more. So if you are at the point where you're realizing that what you've been doing isn't working anymore and you're not sure how to adjust without swinging into another extreme, that's where guidance matters. And this is exactly the kind of pattern we work through with women here at Evolved Women's Health. And we do telehealth. I don't think I've ever mentioned that before. I'm always like, oh, we're in Springville, but we actually also do telehealth. And we can do online training and all of that things. We're set up and certified to do that. When you work with us, we look at the whole picture. We look at your hormones. We look at your nutrition. We look at your training, your lifestyle factors. We do comprehensive testing, and we have access to medical grade therapies when and where that is appropriate. We help you build something that actually works for the body you have now, so you can enjoy living inside of it. If you want help with that, then you can go to our website, which is evolvedwomenshealth.com. You can book a free 15-minute consultation directly with me, or you can call or text 801-477-6484, and we'll get you set up. And as always, if you found this podcast helpful, please share it with someone else you think would benefit. We live in a world where women's health is not taken seriously. We live in a world where there are, quite frankly, a lot of lies about women's health. A lot of people taking advantage of insecurities, a lot of people creating insecurities, a lot of people trying to sell solutions. And if we're ever going to have better outcomes for health outcomes for women, we are going to have to band together and share information that is legit and information that addresses real health. So please share if this resonated with you. And I am going to sign off for the day and go eat some dinner. That's right. I'm going to go eat my real food and my protein, and it'll be amazing. And I will talk to you all later.